If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome into the program. It is Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard. We're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Busy program lined up today. A lot on the Major League Baseball card for tonight. The NBA and the NHL playoffs, of course. Great guests on the program, updated series prices, and we can spend a minute or two here, Paulie, recapping what we watched last night, because I do have a couple of questions for you on this Timberwolves and Warriors series. After what we watched last night, how does the series change with no Steph Curry? Like, does it play out similarly to what we saw last night where Minnesota is in control? It's going to be a tough time for the Warriors to score in this series without Steph and their leader on the floor. Mm-hmm. And even if they go back to, the city in San Francisco and Curry's in street clothes, do they get back into the series, or is last night going to be a carbon copy over and over? Are we going to get a carbon copy, I guess?
Well, I think, again, being from that state and seeing the issues they've had in big games and big series, you can ask Cleveland fans, Toronto fans, the list goes on about it. It should be easy, and that's what it should look like. And certainly you had a desperate team against a team that already had the split, no matter what, but they should have won game 1, too. I would just say stop settling for threes, be aggressive, attack the basket, and you're going to be up 3-1 if and when Curry comes back. The other thing, Draymond's begging for a suspension. And he's a child. His antics are ridiculous. I won't get into what he said after the game, but he is, with his history and what he does, throwing elbows, throwing leg kicks, knees, whatever, and with Gobert out there as well in their history, he's only 2 away now with the flagrants and the technicals. And he loves to get technicals as well. So they're just limited offensively in what they could do. They should be easy to guard if I can just contain Butler. And I have so much offensive firepower. McDaniels was good. I thought we had a chance there with the 35-1 most points. Can we get that from Randall, right?
Yeah.
If he was great
against
the Lakers. If I get that from Randall and I get an aggressive Ant, and I still think, like Mike Baum said, Finch is great with his interviews and calling people out as well. Barkley was right. I'm not criticizing you. I'm coaching you. Mm-hmm. Play harder, do better, attack. Let's go.
Yep. Also, I think this is going to be a big series potentially for Naz Reid, who has played well in 2 games off the bench. So I will say this.
It's right there for them. I mean, they shouldn't mess around. Don't pull a Houston. You're the better team. They're also with their star player and what he means to that organization.
Yep.
Going on the road is going to be difficult, but they have no excuses. They got to win these games without Curry.
So I'd be very careful. And, I tweeted this out last night when it was happening as well. Draymond Green props in this series. I'm not going to touch him, because there is a long history here, and the meltdown was on the way last night. He was doing whatever he could to get kicked out of that game. Rudy Gobert, when he put him in that chokehold a couple of years ago and he got suspended for, 5 games, I think, Draymond?
Yeah, then he had the Nurkic thing after, and he had to go to counseling. Yeah.
Gobert called him out and basically said he doesn't want to play when Steph's not on the court.
Yeah.
So Tom Habistro, who used to come on our show quite often, we reached out. He's very busy, can't come on right now. He wrote an unbelievable story, a deep dive on this. He's like, is Gobert onto something here? Let me go back and check. And he wrote a story about Draymond, how he does not like to play when Curry is unavailable and he's in street clothes that night. And he does whatever he can. And the history and the numbers tell you that he has gotten kicked out of games or flagrant fouls, tossed, ejected, whatever. He doesn't want to play in those games when Steph is not there. You saw it last night in the first game without him. And if the Wolves get up early and they're punishing the Warriors again in San Francisco, it's going to get vile. It's going to get nasty. This is why I said this before these 2 teams even met. I'm like, if this is going to be the matchup, watch out, because there's a good chance here that Draymond or somebody's going to get kicked out of a game or maybe suspended for a little while as well, because that's tied into the Timberwolves not giving a rat's ass who you are, and they're not going to back down to anybody.
Yeah. They got some tough dudes.
Yes, they do.
Sure, and DiVincenzo's a pain in the rear too. But I want them to run them out though as well. I mean, it would eventually happen later on, but for that to be close in the third quarter, that shouldn't happen either. After they had the big lead.
So here a couple
don't screw around.
No,
don't
you
pull
can't.
up Boston
No.
Celtics stuff.
You have to go to San Francisco now over the weekend, and you need to control that game, and you need to walk out of there with a win. You have to do it. You cannot let, because again, there is a break in the series between games 5 and 6 of 4 days, because that's when the WNBA team now in San Francisco, they're going to debut. So if you are suddenly in a tight series with Golden State and Curry can now come back because of the 4-day layoff, well, that's no good.
Mm-hmm.
So Wolves minus 1.5 games for the series is now minus 110. Do you think they sweep Golden State? Wolves minus 2.5 games plus 205 at DraftKings.
No.
Okay.
I would think a Buddy Hield game, a Butler game, Minnesota stinks from the outside. No.
I think a Butler game for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Will be on the way, but I don't know how much other. Kuminga going to score 18 again?
Yeah, true. And he actually got some run too. Kerr put him out there, but it's wild what's happened in the second round here. That just OKC was supposed to take care of Denver, no problem. Right. They're up 14. They're up 9 with 2:30. They blow it. We'll get to the Celtics stuff, which is well documented. What the Cavs did. I mean, it's you're up 20. You can't relax. And these teams relax, and next thing you know, you lose, and now your season's on the line.
Are we getting carried away with the Cavaliers-Pacers number tonight?
We absolutely are.
I touched 5.5 earlier today.
Yeah, it's the same thing in the NHL, too. You are paying our season on the line tax. What's more surprising, what Boston's laying game 3 or the series price? I mean, they're $1.20 favorite. They're down 0-2, and they're going to the Garden. It's the most expensive ticket in Garden history for a Knicks game. The get-in price is $700. Bobby's got the champagne ready. I mean, it's crazy.
Is he going back there? Is he going to go to a game?
Oh, he sell the tickets. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sell the tickets. But it's just lunacy what you're seeing with the tax on this. And, yeah, you're going to have the guys back. It figures to be back, and that's what it's priced at. But who's to say Indiana's not right there with them? And you can't be catching 5 when you're at home. The big thing, the shocking thing has been what's happened in the fourth quarter, what's happened points in the paint, and what they've done on the boards. Or in this case, what Cleveland's failed to do on the boards. So, Ty Jerome stink bomb in game 2.
Oh, brutal.
Who do you trust other than Mitchell? Strus was great, but with Mobley and who knows what Garland's situation is, missing all that time, I think that's outrageous. And the more I listen to the interviews, the Boston series price and the Boston game 3 line is outrageous because they don't think they did anything wrong. Missoula walked it all back. I only had a problem with 1 or 2 possessions. Okay. Yeah. That's it. So they think they know what they're doing, and they think this is good basketball. It's horrible basketball. It's low IQ basketball, and you don't jack threes early in the shot clock when you're up 20 in the third quarter.
I have a lot to say about Jason Tatum. I don't even know how much of this I can actually say on the air, but I think we've seen this now pan out over the course of his career. The guy is obviously Captain Obvious here, ultra talented player. He's one of the best players in the NBA on the court. I also think he's one of the mentally weakest players we've seen in a long time. His idol was Kobe. He wants to be Kobe. He wants you to think that he's Kobe Bryant. Dude, you're not on the same stratosphere as Kobe Bryant was as a basketball player in the NBA. You're not close.
He was also a killer, too. I mean, Kobe was.
Oh, Kobe was all-time killer.
Oh, yeah.
This guy, I think there's a chance here where he is like Kevin Durant light. I don't know about the burners on the accounts and, going after people who make fun of him, but I think that Tatum probably listens to a lot of what media says about him. I think he might pay attention to what people are saying on social media to him. And I think it really, really bothers him because he wants to be all-time good and he wants to be like an MVP in the league. I pointed this out last year in the playoffs. He was playing such stupid basketball in the Eastern Conference Finals and the NBA Finals. He specifically was trying to steal the MVP awards. That's how he was playing for an entire series, but back-to-back. I'm like, what, dude, you have to cut this out. And I don't know at this time of year if he has it in him or not. Mm-hmm. Because what else do you, and by the way, OG might be in his head right now. So are we starting to see, by the way, going back to the Olympics, and I kind of bought into this as the revenge tour for Tatum to begin the year.
Yeah.
And while it worked back in October, it's not working now. What did Kerr know over in Paris? Didn't play the guy.
Yep.
Couldn't play him. Didn't want to go to him. Didn't rely on him. And he sat there on the bench as one of the, best 5 players in the entire league.
That's the one positive out of this. People can stop with this. Oh, Tatum is so good. Oh, Jason Tatum. We can put that to bed now. 23 points last 7 quarters. Tatum and Brown, 2 of 19 in the fourth quarter. 5 of 20 from 3. He's 12 of 42 for and only 9 free throw attempts. What are you doing?
Again, he went to the free throw line the last 3 games against Orlando almost 40 times.
Yep.
That's the guy I thought we were going to get here against the Knicks. Now, I will say this, and we've talked about this throughout the year. This is kind of when you want Boston, though, is going to be on the road. They play much better on the road.
That is true. And,
right?
Yep.
But they do at home.
Yeah, but even if they get the split, then you got to win 3 in a row. So, and it feels like the Miami series in the conference finals when they were huge favorites and they lost the first 3. But to be up 20 back-to-back games and blow it, and certainly if it's going to be close, you'd have to give the Knicks edge as well, which is how good Brunson is. And Holiday had the silly foul as well. And then can Joey draw something up? That's the other thing.
Are we sure he's a good coach?
No, we're not. And I would fire the guy if they lose in 5. I don't care what happened last year. You just saw what Denver did.
No, last year means nothing.
Absolutely. You just saw what Denver did. And there's more to that coming up, too, which we'll get to, because I saw Zach Lowe made a great point. That is so important with coaching about being reckless, use the clock to your advantage, and time and score. Which it's time. You don't take, I missed a 3. We got the rebound. I'll shoot another 3. You're up 20. Get to the line, attack the basket and run some clock here. Don't just shoot 5 seconds into the shot clock in what you're doing. And also they want to talk about what we're playing the math game. That's a larger sample size. This is a small sample size. So you're going to say, well, if we shoot 53s a game, it's going to work out. We're going to be, you could stink it up for 4 games and go home. And that's what happens in the first 2.
But also, I'm okay with open 3-pointers by any team pretty much. The contested threes are what kill me. They think that's a good shot.
That's true, right. And that step back crap.
Yep.
What they did in a tie game late in game 1. For a limited time, slashing the price of our annual subscription, normally $240, now just $199. Sign up today, you get 2 extra months for free, 14 months, less than 50 cents a day, promo code PRO. Every best bet, every host, every guest, the betting splits, the trends from Mackinnon, the dog videos, VSiN.com/subscribe, code PRO. 14 months, less than 50 cents, VSiN.com.
All right, you brought this up. We'll expand on it coming up. Tonight's schedule, including first quarter, first half, and first period numbers, the perfect example of baking desperation into a number, is next.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Very critical Game 3 tonight, NBA playoffs. Well, aren't they all? As the Pacers are hosting the Cavaliers. Took the first 2 on the road. Now they come back home and they're a 5-point dog. And, I'm seeing an update right now from a couple hours ago on these players, Paulie. And Garland is expected to play tonight. Mobley, this is per Shams. Mobley and Hunter are aiming to play on Friday. And to help us dive into this game tonight, Scott Agnes joins the program now, covers the Pacers and the Fever for Fieldhouse Files. Scott, thanks for the time today. Good afternoon. How are you?
Yeah, good afternoon. All a buzz here in Indianapolis, from the Fever wrapping up preseason to the Pacers and trying to create a stranglehold on the series tonight in Game 3.
Yeah. Now, I know that the NBA, they update their official injury report at the bottom of the hour of every single hour, and all 3 of those players that I mentioned for the Cavaliers are still questionable. But if you had to bet on it right now, are you going to say that maybe all 3 play, a combination of the 3 will play tonight? Where are you at with those players for the Cavaliers?
Yeah, so all 3 were visible at shoot-around, but what was interesting about that was in most injury situations, usually you're not so forward and out front about it. Normally you're like, you take them off the court so no one sees anything, whether they look great or whether they can't even move on the court. But anyways, I would suspect 2 of the 3 would give it a go. The one that concerns me most, it would just be the ankle sprain of Evan Mobley. That's one against a team like the Pacers who want to run and get you up and down the court. You're playing with an athletic, versatile Miles Turner. The ankle sprain would concern me the most.
I'm with you on that. I know, Paulie, you were about the Garland thing, right? With the toe injury, that can be super dicey and tough to speculate on, too, because it's basketball, and you're running, you're jumping, you're cutting the whole time. So that probably just comes down to an individual's pain threshold, yeah?
Yeah, I would entirely agree with that. And it makes me wonder, though, he's been out a couple of weeks. At first, I almost wondered, was the last series as a precaution to head into this next series, right? Because they were just so dominant against the Miami Heat. But to sit out the first couple games there, it must have really been a painful injury. And I've covered players that have dealt with this before. And honestly, you just need time more than anything. Usually does not require surgery. You just need time off. And so now I think it purely becomes a pain tolerance thing. And I would imagine he'll try to give it a go. But I do wonder, I go back to last series, we saw this with Damian Lillard, very different injury. But Dame hadn't played in more than a month. He was great in the first half, but then the rest of the series really did not contribute much, was out of shape, and really couldn't find his shot. So I'll be curious, even if he does play, at what level will Garland be able to play with this, windshield wiper speed that the Pacers want to set the tone with?
Mm-hmm. All valid points. The other thing, they really struggled defensively in the first couple games at home against Miami, I thought, and especially guarding the three. I'm stunned what happened in the first two games with the Pacers getting to the basket, points in the paint, and what the Pacers did on the boards, especially late in game two. What say you?
Yeah, those are all areas that the Pacers normally struggle with, is paint points that they give up, defending without fouling, all those sort of things. I thought what was interesting is we've heard Coach of the Year Kenny Atkinson criticize officials like 3 times now, and part of it's like gamesmanship, right? Rick Carlisle did this a little bit in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Knicks last year. I covered Frank Vogel against the Miami Heat before that series. He reminded everyone nobody flops more than the Miami Heat, for example. But in this series, there was like 33 combined free throw attempts in game one, and then in game two, the Cavaliers had 35, I think, by themselves. But the most alarming thing to me was how this Cleveland Cavaliers team wore down. They were exhausted and had as many turnovers as field goals in that fourth quarter. They struggled to even get the ball in bounds.
Yeah.
And part of the discussion that I don't think has been brought up enough is they lacked timeouts. They had to burn a couple timeouts just to try to get the ball in that final minute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So before this series started and the Cavs won 64 games, at any point during this season did you think I might be covering the NBA Finals?
Not NBA Finals, and I probably wouldn't say I'm there yet either. But I thought this was a Pacer team that absolutely should reach this round, and the next round would be a bonus. That was my expectations coming off last year.
Okay. So you cover the Fever as well. Which team has a better chance of making the finals, the Pacers or the Indiana Fever?
Yeah, that's a fun question, and especially as the W season's just getting started. I would say the Fever. They're already in the championship aspirations. And contending conversation. You have one of the best players in the league in Caitlin Clark as well. You have dominant scoring. Their games, the way in which they want to play very much resembles one another, which is interesting in town. But still, despite having 2 wins in the series, you'd still have the conference finals. I would pick the Fever.
All right. I don't disagree. It's Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Scott Agness, who covers the Pacers and the Fever for Fieldhouse Files. Now, I'm a little bit concerned with the Pacers and where they're at maybe entering this game, and I'll explain why. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. I go back. I can't get Game 5 out of my head against the Bucks, and I'll give credit to the Bucks. No Damian Lillard. They came out right, but they had a chance to finish off Milwaukee in that game, put them away. They did eventually, but it took a miraculous comeback late. And the Bucks just they completely outplayed them, and I thought the Pacers showed up with like their D game, just like, okay, well, we can beat them with no Lillard, no problem. Are they feeling a little fat and happy that they took the first 2 on the road here? Or are they going to come out and say, you know what, we have a chance to put our foot on their throats tonight, gentlemen. Let's take care of business.
Yeah, I think it's much more the latter, because as much as we can critique Cleveland, I go back to the last game and take a look at a couple of things. First of all, your best player in many accounts, Pascal Siakam, minimal in this series in that game, just 12 points. Tyrese Halliburton, who this team and this offense is designed around and for, just 4 assists. They tried to eliminate Tyrese Halliburton as the primary ball handler. Therefore, Andrew Nembhard put it in his hands a lot more. So I see 12 points for Siakam, just 4 assists for Halliburton. The Pacers trailed by 20 and still won the game. So I don't think they played great by any means. And I think for that reason, and the likelihood of at least a couple of their injured players coming, won't allow for the Pacers to get ahead of themselves. And the other thing in all this is if those players do end up going, I would almost say it's better off for the Pacers, because one of their biggest issues in the last several years is when players are out and the unfamiliarity and falling behind. Where they're best is when playing the best, as they rise to that level. Otherwise, they play down to the competition. So I think they are in good spot. They've been very good on their home floor. They're wearing their special City Edition uniforms that they're 20-4 this season when wearing.
Very nice. What do you make of the point spread, by the way? It was 2.5 earlier in the week. That was when the status was more, I think, unknown about the players for the Cavaliers. And again, but maybe not all three guys are going to come back tonight. They're now a 5-point favorite on the road here, Scott.
Yeah, to me, that's a direct reflection of the injury report and those players being seen at shoot-around earlier today at the Fieldhouse. I think that's what it is they're trying to line up even money there. We realize how good the Cavaliers have been all season, and I think it's a benefit of the doubt as well. Like, is this team that was so good really going to fall behind 3-0? So that's how I view that.
Scott, pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much for the time. Enjoy the game tonight. We appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yep,
thanks.
follow
Well done.
Scott on X. He is at Scott Agnes, Agnes is how you spell the last name. And he covers both the Pacers and the Fever for Fieldhouse Files.
Well, everything's flipped here, and it's backwards. I hope we get long series, number one. But I think it's going to be Knicks against the Pacers, and the Pacers are going to the NBA Finals. And it's a tough matchup for Cleveland, even with the guys hurt, and see if they can, first things first, can they avoid the sweep? And while we were talking to Scott for about 30 seconds, the Thunder went to 6.5.
Did they really?
Wow.
They shot up a full point. They
Yeah.
were 5.5 on the screen not that long ago, really. Which others are you going to bank on tonight?
I totally disagree with what the public's doing on Ty Jerome. I wouldn't even play the guy. He was so bad in the last game, and he was shook. He had lost his confidence. That's another guy. I mean, it's just that's been the story of the round two. With what you see, if it's not your night, pass the ball or go to the basket. Stop 1 of 14. Come on.
So give me an other than that shows up for the Cavaliers on the road. Is it going to be Merrill?
I still know I'm Strus. I was Strus last game. I like Strus's game.
Okay. How about for the
I know
Pacers?
Mitchell's going to be great, but he's right. I don't know what to expect from Garland, and he might run out of gas. Pacers, it's just it's about everyone. They're a balanced attack. They got so many guys that can score, whether it's Mathurin, whether it's Nembhard, what he's doing. The huge Naismith had the huge rebound. I think it was him, or with the putback to cut it to 5. But, we're sitting here and talking. It was also an implosion. Even without 3 of their better players, they're up 20 late in the third quarter, and they're up 7 with 48 seconds. They lose the game. So
yeah, Mathurin's gone over his point prop 2 games so far in the series. Again, I think that's 16-3 over last 19 games.
Yeah.
He had 11 in game 1. He had 19 last time, and here's the key to that: he got to the free throw line off the bench 6 times. He's going to drive like that.
Yeah.
He'll hit a 3 or a couple of 3s in the game too. I think you can expect Mathurin to play well at home.
Halliburton on a mission with all this overrated stuff as well. He's 7-1 to have the most points tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So if Mitchell doesn't go off or a blowout, as we've seen plenty of those, and we've seen plenty of big tickets cash.
You going to be okay if the Knicks make the NBA Finals in terms of the overall coverage? I get it. The fans, they're starving.
I'm okay with it.
I'm rooting
yes.
for them.
Yes.
What I'm not going to be okay with is going to be the fanboy media people and their reaction. That's going to be insufferable.
Yeah.
Do your job. I don't want to know how big of a fan you are of the Knicks. Do your job. Up next, win some, lose some. The second longest streak of all time is now dead, and we'll give you some incredible numbers to make note of when this guy is golfing in future PGA Tour events.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome in. Good to have you on board here. We'll continue talking NHL and the playoffs. You can hear our next guest on a great show called Money Moves, noon Eastern every day during the week, along with new co-host Jonathan Von Tobel. Stormy Bonatoni joins the program now, and she is on the Progressive Guest Line. Stormy, good afternoon. Thanks for the time today. How are you?
Yeah, happy to be with you guys. I'm great. How are you doing?
Doing really well. So your overall takeaways from last night with the Golden Knights. I don't want to say that they deserved to win the game because I thought probably for regulation the Oilers were better overall, but the way they eventually lost it, when I thought they clearly dominated Edmonton and had plenty of chances early in the overtime, and then they did not get the whistle to go their way with what I thought was a clear penalty. I thought that was kind of a killer loss the way it played out like that. What say you?
Yeah, It was. And I do think it's interesting that you say maybe they didn't deserve to win considering the way they played. Bruce Cassidy said straight up after the game that he did. He thought that they outplayed Edmonton most of the game and that they deserved a better outcome. And the more I thought about it going back through the game, I do kind of agree with Bruce, even going back to the second period where they're up 1-0. It's you look back to the first game where they only get one shot on net in the second period. It was a complete role reversal in the first 11:30 of the second period last night, where Vegas gets a ton of solid shots, a couple grade A's, but nothing gets through. And then Wallman scores on what was the Oilers, I think, second shot in that period, 11 and a half minutes in. And then it's goal, goal, goal when it shouldn't have been, right? Like that's an Adin Hill issue. I think he got a little bit in his head there. Karlsson got one back. They have all this resolve to get back and force overtime. And then, as you said, they get that killer 5-minute major penalty from Nick Waugh. They kill it. They have all these great chances. You would think get a little bit of momentum from that. I instantly thought when they killed that penalty, oh, Vegas is going to win now.
Yep.
And then, obviously you mentioned the Braden McNabb no call penalty from Victor Arvidsson that 17 seconds later, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, who were clamped down by the Golden Knights all day, get on the score sheet for the first time of the day, and it's the game-winning goal. And I think that's kind of been what Edmonton is this postseason, at least.
Oh, yeah.
That it hasn't had to be the Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl show. It's been a lot of depth that has stood up for them. But when they've needed Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, they show up.
How pissed off was Cassidy with the non-call and then his own goaltending?
Livid. And he said repeatedly in his post-game press conference that, hey, it was obvious. It was a can opener tripping penalty. It should have been called. The referees got it wrong. And when it came to Adin Hill, I think the fact that he didn't finish his thought and that he didn't continue to say things that you could tell were percolating in his brain with regards to his goaltending, and instead finished his thought, just finished pretty abruptly and then walked off of the podium at the end of the game. Him not saying his full thought to me was saying a lot about where things sat with Adin Hill, and he has to be better. And especially again on a night where the Golden Knights did a really good job defending those top guys, for them not to be rewarded for it, for them not to have a split at home in those first two games when they're favored to do so. And they did play better the majority of the games. I was even looking at the shot share in the overtime from Natural Stat Trick. It was like 67% of the shots were Golden Knights and good chances. So I feel for them to have to go to Edmonton now down 0-2.
Yeah, so do I. I mean, obviously with this team playing so well right now, and you mentioned that about like McDavid and Draisaitl didn't even show up on the score sheet until that final goal in overtime, which was an absolute thing of beauty. So they're doing a great job shutting those two guys down or neutralizing them. I don't want to say that the Golden Knights are dead in the water, because they have done this before in the playoffs against obviously really good teams to drop the first two games and they come back and they win that eventually. They feel a little bit different though now, going to Edmonton and taking on these two guys and that overall team and how well they're playing.
I've gone back and forth on it. We had Mike Palm, obviously, who you guys know well and how much he loves hockey. And he came on Money Moves this morning and said he's not sure if Vegas gets another win. And I can completely understand that thought process. I just personally find it so hard to believe. What's going to be important for me when it comes to Vegas is, what are we going to get on the ice? Like, how is Braden McNabb? Is he going to be available again? Because he's one of the top Golden Knights penalty killers. And I think that's going to be critical when you have that Edmonton Oilers power play on home ice. Are they going to be able to find more goal support and score the goals when they need them? Because I think that Oilers defense and goaltending can be had.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So can you get that from the guys that you need it from Eichel and from Stone? And Pavel Dorofeev is going to be traveling to Edmonton. Is he going to be back and a 35-goal scorer in the regular season, but dealing with whatever he's dealing with this lower body injury? What's he going to look like out there? Everybody's been raving about Calvin Pickard, guys. And sure, give him credit. He made some stops when he needed to get them. He's 6-0 in the postseason. Nobody else can say that. But he's also given up 3+ goals in 4 of them. 3 of them were 4 goals against. He's not exactly like Connor Hellebuck regular season, right? This is Calvin Pickard, a journeyman guy who's getting an opportunity and making the most of it. But the Vegas Golden Knights should be able to do something here. I firmly believe they get a split and win at least one of the games in Edmonton. I just don't know which one it is, which then creates the mental problem for me when you are trying to bet game 3 and you see that the Oilers are a minus 130-ish home favorite in that spot. And do you want to take a plus money price on the Golden Knights? But game 1 in Edmonton, when that crowd's going to be behind your back, I don't know. So I think Edmonton wins the series now. I don't know what that means for them moving forward if they can continue to outgoal everyone. But I'm surprised that they've been able to do it against Vegas to this point.
Yeah, and can they get a lead, too? That's the other 6 straight comeback wins, which is nuts. Are you okay with an all-Canadian Stanley Cup?
Do you think like Edmonton, Toronto? Is that what?
Oh,
is that
please.
where your mind's
I would
going?
love it.
That'd be unbelievable
I would love
television.
that.
Yes, absolutely.
It would. It would. It would be hard to believe, though, just because it's been so long. And that was even the huge stat coming into this round, right? That we had never seen this many teams in the final 8 in the last however many years. So it would be great television. What do you guys think that would be for the American viewership, though, for the Stanley Cup final? Would that bring it down, or because the storylines are so good and they have so much star power, would it not matter?
I think the latter. It's Matthews against McDavid, and every game would be 6-5.
I think that it would get great ratings in big American hockey cities.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Do you think that Toronto can do it, though? Because I've heard a lot of people looking at even Florida, and I can't believe the price that they're at tonight, by the way.
Yeah.
Like that number just continues to grow. Oh, my goodness. But there are a lot of people that think, okay, Florida, even down here, this is a good time to buy in on them to win the Eastern Conference. They can come back in this series. Toronto's not going to be able to get it done. I know, talking to a lot of people that have worked in Toronto and have covered the team for a long time, they get a sense that this team is different. You guys watch a ton of hockey too. Do you feel that a little bit at all? And does the Anthony Stolarz injury impact the way you view them?
Yes and yes. I feel like they are a different team than they have been in previous years, but also I think Stolarz is better than Wall. So, I mean, I would, if you're telling me right now that Stolarz is going to come back like beyond game 3, I'm like, yeah, I think they can make it to the Stanley Cup at that point.
Also, sorry, I know that this is your guys' show, but I think the reporter in me is just programmed to ask questions, so I apologize.
That's fine. Good. It's good.
Yeah. If you have anything else, go ahead. Throw it at us. We'll see what we can come up with.
Who do you guys have to win the cup right now? Who do you feel like is in the driver's seat?
I played a Carolina-Dallas exact 11-1.
Oh,
I know.
Paulie.
Well, that's terrible. That's the worst one.
I bet those 2 teams every single year. And I promised myself this year I wasn't going to do it because they've broken my heart so many times. Yeah. And now look at the way that they're playing. Like Dallas, especially with them getting healthy, what's the update on Heiskanen today? Forgive me. I haven't checked. I haven't bet that game today.
I didn't see that yet either.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see either this morning. But Robertson obviously back. I know he hasn't looked like himself, but when the 2 of them are full go, they're awesome. And I remember Mike Palm actually earlier this season when I was trying to talk myself into betting Dallas once again, he talked me out of it because he's like, really, you're going to go down that road again? Don't do it.
He's out.
He's out tonight, by the way, Heiskanen. Yeah. Oh, there's something to that, though. Mike Palm detests Ottinger. Can't stand him. He thinks that he's completely unreliable. So, okay, I'm on Carolina 5-1 to win the East. But let me throw this at you. And Paulie brought this up earlier. How about a little Logan Thompson to win the Conn Smythe? It was like 40-1. And there's an angle there, right? If they're going to make this deep run and be there, that guy's probably got to play out of his mind.
He has been great for them.
Yes.
Forgive me, you cut out a little bit, so I hope you guys can hear me. He has been awesome for them. And if they do continue to make this run, a lot of it is going to be on his shoulder. So I don't hate that at all, especially at that price. We had Josh Ingles on the program earlier, and he brought up maybe Tom Wilson, and because of the number, for the sake of argument, 250-1.
Yeah, and we had a guest on. It was Jonathan Davis this week. He said that specifically in this series, Carolina has nobody to really answer him. So, Stormy, what's the next game that you're going to be broadcasting on?
I'm not sure yet. I might actually be done. I don't know yet, but it was honestly like a true dream come true for me to get to do national playoff hockey this past week and a half. And I very, very fortunate. And between the benches for the first time, I got hit with a puck. I've done the whole thing. We really just nailed down everything you could ask for in the playoffs.
How'd that feel? Pretty good overall?
It wasn't awesome. It hurt a little bit, but we got through. The joke with me and JVT this week was that I took as many shots on goal as the Golden Knights took in the second period when my injury happened.
Yes.
Well, you did a great job on the
good.
broadcast, Stormy.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You did a great job here
guys.
today as well, obviously. So thank you. We appreciate that. You can catch her every day on Money Moves with JVT at noon Eastern. We'll get into a plethora of props across the board tonight next here on VSiN.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Here at Circa, where we broadcast from every single day, the Thunder are currently a 5-point favorite tonight. Game 3 on the road against Denver. And looking at the screen, now, Paul, that number's back to 5.5 at most spots. It's been going back and forth throughout the show. Got as high as 6.5, now at 5.5. And we head out here to the Progressive Guest Line as Chad Andrus joins the program now from 104.3 The Fan in Denver to talk about this game in the series. Chad, good afternoon. Thanks for the time today. How are you?
My pleasure, guys. Doing great. Looking forward to see if the Nuggets have another bounce-back effort that they've become so famous for in them tonight.
Would you bet on it?
Yeah.
Now that the number is sitting there at 5.5, would you put your own hard-earned money on Denver tonight to cover the point spread?
I'm not betting it, but that would be the lean. If I were going to take it, I would take the points, especially if you had a chance to jump in when it got to the 6.5 an hour or two ago. That would be the lean. Look, this team is at their core, they are resilient and they are tough. And every time people write them off, they bounce back and do something that nobody expects them to do. And I think the one thing that's interesting about the Nuggets in particular, just as an organization, is they understand something that I think a lot of us that we relate to football wish more coaches understood, is they know that it doesn't matter how much you lose by. And obviously, when we're talking about point spreads, yes, it does for our bets, but for our coaches, for teams, it has no bearing, right? So we always criticize those coaches who are down 2 scores in the fourth quarter and they punt with 8 minutes left, right? The Nuggets understand that it doesn't matter if we lose by 1 or if we lose by 81, the series was still going to be 1-1 coming back to game 3, and it's a whole new game.
What do you expect out of the officiating and specifically how they officiate Joker?
Little disappointed to see it's James Capers, Ben Taylor, Ray Acosta tonight. I don't think that is necessarily an advantage either way. I think if you're Oklahoma City, you would have loved to have seen Mark Davis, where it's no holds barred, anything goes. You can punch him in the face again. Well, and I think if you're the Nuggets, you would have loved to see Zach Zarba, who's probably the best official in the sport. I don't think the crew favors a team either way. But guys, Joker got in foul trouble because it's the age-old story of they always catch the second guy. And Oklahoma City, they have the benefit. This is the benefit of their depth in their roster, is they don't have to worry about fouls. So everybody that goes in there can just hack away and beat guys and lean on them because they know they are long and they're quick, but they're not near as strong as Jokic and Aaron Gordon in particular. So they have to get physical in ways that dares the refs to call a foul, and they know they're not going to call it every time. Even if they do call it every time, they just put in another guy off the bench that has the exact same physical profile that can go and do the same thing. Denver doesn't have the luxury to do that playing with 6.5 bodies.
Yeah, no kidding. Is it 6.5 or is it down to 5.5 now? Do we know what the hell's going to happen with Michael Porter tonight?
I think he'll probably give it a go again. They have to put him out there at least for 4 or 5 minutes to start the game. And guys, I don't think anybody expects him to make shots with his injury situation. But the thing is Oklahoma City still is not going to leave him standing alone off the off chance that he does. So he creates spacing that allows Jokic and Gordon to operate. And that's the biggest key, is it's not that he is making shots and being a threat. Yes, Denver needs that to be in the game and to win the game, but he has to be out there to create space for the other guys, because without him, they're not going to guard Christian Brown. They proved that in the last game. They're not going to guard Peyton Watson if he takes those minutes, and they're not going to guard Russell Westbrook from the three-point line.
Yep.
So Porter has to be there to space the floor for Gordon and Jokic.
Big game from Westbrook, or at least over 13.5 points?
Yeah, I think so, because you're going to have to continue to reduce the Porter minutes, and those are going to have to go to Westbrook and Peyton Watson. So I would look at those two guys as, potential any of the overs on their point totals. And then the other thing I would look at would be Christian Braun over 1.5 threes at plus money earlier today, because they left him wide open in the last game. He just didn't hit them. And, I don't think Denver's winning game 2 under any circumstances. You could have put Kobe or MJ out there with them. They probably weren't going to win that game, but they did have open 3-pointers early. The one that first quarter got away that they knocked down, that they keep it within shouting distance, maybe till halftime, and they just missed them all. They missed like all 6 of them, and it was primarily Christian Braun and Michael Porter. They're going to leave Christian Braun open to shoot. I think he makes 2 or more threes.
2 or more threes, okay. I said this earlier. I think Jamal Murray, it's not easy to predict, and we're trying to do this, right, in terms of props, which guys are going to go off. Not easy to predict that against this Oklahoma City defense more times than not. But I think Murray tonight, right, back home, the playoff pedigree here from this guy. He's been so good in his career in front of that home crowd. Or is that just all narrative here that tonight expect a big game from Jamal Murray?
Yeah, this guy is as close to the Riddler as you can get. Like, he's a total enigma. I'll probably play with fire and go under 20.5 points, but I'm going to give everybody fair warning. The last time I did that, because I thought he had nothing for the Clippers, who were long and athletic and quick, much like this Oklahoma City team, much like Minnesota, who dominates him, that he just can't get free against them. The last time I bet is under 20.5. He went for 43 against the Clippers. Yeah. So, don't necessarily listen to me, but it's this physical profile of a team that is long at every position and can pressure him all over the floor the whole game with multiple bodies that he really struggles against because they wear him down and they smother him.
Well, how about the expectations for SGA tonight? I get it. Guy's going to be the MVP. He is, absolutely incredible. He can get to his spots against any team in the league. But now with his points prop, to go over, we're expecting him to score 33 tonight. Isn't that a gigantic number here?
It is, but I will say this, just to throw a little caution at that, Mitch. When the Nuggets have beat the Thunder 3 times this year, in those wins, I think it's 120, 121, and 140. So if Denver thinks they're going to be able to score the ball and have a chance to win the game, what if they say, okay, Shea, go ahead and get 30, get 40, but we're going to lock down everybody else? Where are you getting 90 more points from? And if they take that strategy, then it's definitely in play for an over. But yes, I would have a tendency to agree with you. That's a huge ask on the road for a team that is still really trying to prove themselves and find their footing in the second round and beyond in these big matchups playing in hostile environments.
What's the future hold if they lose in 5 or 6?
I don't think they could win the championship, meaning the Nuggets, and I still don't think Michael Porter would be here. You can't continue with him on the roster. The guy makes $36 million. He provides nothing. Right? He loses 100% of 50-50 balls, and he has no athleticism. He provides nothing other than a floor spacer, right? But the problem is he has no trade value, especially with multiple injuries that are continuing. So you're going to have to get anything in return. You're probably going to have to include Peyton Watson in a trade, because you don't want to include Christian Braun. But the Nuggets are pretty much stuck in a good way with Jokic. They're not going to trade Murray because, look, you didn't trade John Stockton and Karl Malone away from each other. They didn't even win one. At least Jokic and Murray got one. They're not going to trade Aaron Gordon with his age, relying on athleticism and a new contract, and nobody else wants Russ Westbrook. So you got 4 guys there. You want to keep Christian Braun, but you have to get 2 other guys that can be rotation players when you move on from Porter. It's just whether or not you can do that without having to include Watson.
Sure. Well, that's the thing, right? Every other team in the league, if they're going to have to buy on Porter, they're going to want Christian Braun in return. They're just and they'd be dumb not to.
Yeah, and I think Peyton Watson has a lot of trade value. He's still very young and a lot of athleticism and potential. The problem the Nuggets have is Christian Braun and Peyton Watson. That's the profile of athleticism that they need to add to the roster, but those guys are going to have to go out to bring anybody else in.
So overall, how far do you think this series is going to go?
I think the Nuggets get one of these 2 at home, and I think most Nuggets fans would probably be happy if you told them right now they would take a split, but after that, it's probably 6 games. So I I don't want to count Joker out in a series in fewer than 6 ever, unless I know he's lost in fewer than 6, but he had Facu Campazzo and Austin Rivers in his backcourt. So, I mean, let's be realistic about it. He's still the best player in the world. He's still basketball AI, a supercomputer, real-time problem solver. So any look you throw at him, he solves in real time and has an answer for it. I think he gets at least one more game.
Chad, you're a big basketball guy in general. Is Joe Mazzulla a good basketball coach?
No.
Thank you.
No. And I think the basketball gods are striking back, a little bit with kind of the way they play, because it's not aesthetically pleasing to people who love basketball. And, you can say all you want about Knicks fans. At least they've been loyal for 54 years without winning, so I don't mind them. I'm all for New York taking out Boston, and, anytime they can do that, especially in Boston, puts a smile on my face.
There you go. You can follow Chad on X. He is at Chad Andrus, and does a great job for 104.3 The Fan in Denver as well. Chad, thanks for the time today. Enjoy the game tonight.
All right, see you, fellas.
Thanks, Chad.
There you go. I'm with him. I love the Knicks fan base. They deserve it.
No doubt.
Yeah. I said earlier today, I just don't want to see the Knick fanboy media come out. Don't need to see that.
Plenty of them.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Too many, I would say.
Can we end both of these? The Knicks haven't made it since 2000. Toronto, 2002. That's conference finals. 2000, the Knicks. They were there every year.
I know.
When the run they had with Ewing and...
That's right.
25 years.
So that was definitely the strike year, right? And then they got blasted by Tim Duncan. And they were the 8 seed too, I think.
I think you're right.
All right. In Pocket Plays, we will tell you all of the bets that we made for tonight and beyond coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.